pollinator protection requires much more attention for farmers' knowledge. We need capacity building. In the Anthropocene, we have to focus on humans managing agricultural lands instead of repeating the dogma of paid wildflower strips. My name is Stephanie Christmann. I developed farming with alternative pollinators, briefly FAP. Our team did some 100 questionnaires with farmers in Morocco and noticed that they hardly recognize any wild bee, though around 940 different bee species are known in Morocco. Wild bees are probably the most important pollinators for crops. Also, flies are rarely recognized, though they are important pollinators. Insects have a bad image in many countries. But as long as farmers regard most insects as potential pests, they will not and even cannot protect pollinators. According to our questionnaires, farmers are not aware that wild pollinators depend on the quality of small areas. Wild pollinators fly between 50 and 2,000 meters far. Farmers also don't recognize nests in the ground or in dead wood and destroy nests unwillingly. They don't know to which extent chemicals can accumulate in soil and cause serious risks for ground nesting bees and in consequence for farmers' yields. Many farmers even don't know if their crops are pollinator dependent or not, and if yes, to which extent. The pollinator dependency of zucchini, melon, watermelon and pumpkin is, for instance, highly overseen, whereas a substantial number of farmers regards wheat, barley and olives as pollinator dependent. Farmers' knowledge is crucial for pollinator protection. An untaught farmer, paid for seeding wildflower strips, can counteract their effect by chemicals. A trained FAP farmer like Mohamed Choukri would not do so.
When I spray chemicals, I lose both kinds of beneficial insects, wild pollinators and natural enemies. It takes a week or two until they return in high number. So on top of the investment in chemicals, I also have less income for the flowers of that period. I think twice if it is worth it to spray chemicals.
Some crops, like tomato, eggplant or faba bean, need wild pollinators due to their flower type. Other crops, like cherry, flower very early. In case of seasonal abnormalities, cold or dark weather, honeybees cannot fly. But the farmers are not aware that a high diversity of wild pollinators is necessary for their production. Better knowledge of farmers on pollination and pollinators is necessary for pollinator protection and for better income for farmers.
This is the first thing I learned. These insects are very beneficial insects. I did not pay attention to them before. Maybe I have recognized only honeybees and butterflies. However, together with the FAB team, I discovered how diverse they are. Some fly from one flower to the next quickly, others does not. Some pollinators transport more pollen than others. For some crops, wild pollinators seem to be even more important than honeybees.
Recently, scientists demonstrated that the negative impacts of agricultural intensification reduce the benefits from modern agriculture for many pollinator-dependent crops. Why? Farmers don't realize the value of wild pollinators and therefore they go for short-term risky strategies. They go for large monocultures managed by chemicals. They are not aware that in this way they kill their most important collaborators for good yield, pollinators. In FAB trials, habitat enhancement includes rich forage buffers over a long period and nesting support. We measure environmental and economic impacts of habitat enhancement, and we communicate also the average net additional income gain per surface to farmers. I regard training of farmers and a productivity-related incentive, like in FAB, as most crucial for pollinator protection. In the Anthropocene, plants seeded wildflower strips cannot sustain pollinators, only skilled humans can do. This is the link to our website. Please feel free to use the field guide and the films and materials in your countries.